So, starting with the blacked out video, because once again, pretty much driving for bucks. um, the Little Rascals, I'm gonna get straight to it. Little Rascals is a movie that was funny, everybody enjoyed it, but that had key notes in there for you to think about. Me and my cousin actually was talking about it today. And in discussion, he brought up the Little Rascals. And he was saying that the boys were the He-Man woman haters. Because the way that women are, the way that women act, what women do, they didn't want to be a part of. So that's why they call themselves the He-Man woman haters. I think Frog was talking about how the girls want to kiss you and get in their feelings, and they were yelling, ew, yuck, and certain things that behold of a man was the things that girls didn't like, but you had poor old Alfalfa. He wanted to be in love so bad, tried to do whatever he could do for love. And with Spanky, I always told him, it's just not meant to be. So in the end, even though he was pretty much sabotaged with her, it came down to the point where, he didn't get the girl he wanted. Now, granted, over time, it came about. Sorry about that if you heard me yell. But over time, they dealt with the issues of having girls. And, it was a thing they were willing to give a try to work out for the women. But ultimately, the He-Man woman haters, that was, like I said, one of the first clubs that represented men to defend themselves against the gynocracy. I don't like to use that term pretty much because, it's dealing with so many terms and standards and knowing things about homosexuals and stuff. It's all new to me, and it's not just using words I don't use as much, but the stipulations and what they mean, because there's consequences with doing things and saying things. And most of the time, as men, if you say something, you got to stand on it. Because back in the day, there were two words you couldn't call a man: a liar and a fool. Those two words would actually start fights. Even if a guy was lying, he hated for you to call him a liar. And even if the guy was foolish, he hated for you to call him foolish. So, if you really want to start something or have issues with people, those are the main two words to use. That's pretty much like when I was in elementary. You had guys that always talked about each other's mothers. Now, on the west side where I grew up at, you said something about somebody's mother, you was getting punched in the face, or you was pretty much just getting beat up. But when I moved to the east side, guys were talking about each other's mothers, and nobody never said nothing. And I'm looking, I'm like, dang, you gonna let them talk about your mama like that? I'm like, bruh, I don't get down like that. You talk about my mama, we got issues. And so the guys, they all expressed to me, well, basically, he really don't know you, and he really don't know your mama. So, why are you so mad? And it goes to a lot of concept with a lot of guys. We were taught from the jump to defend our moms. We were taught from the jump that, no one's going to love you like your mom. And it posed a question to us from my gym coach, because we always get into fights when people talk about each other moms on the west side. He said, why nobody never talk about daddies, and why nobody care about daddies? And what he failed to realize, he was in an area which most kids didn't have dads. You know, even as me, I technically didn't have my granddad no more. So it was kind of a crazy situation to where he looked at it and was like, why? Where your daddy? Where your daddy? And they looked at him, they was like, you got kids? He's like, yeah. My daughter, my son, they both stay in my house, with my wife. So we was all looking at him. Oh, okay, wow, that's different, And for a lot of people, they grew up in that scenario. Not knowing who their pops was, or not having a clue to how this man is, because they were cut off from the situation in which their mother kind of escalated before they was even born, or as they were together and time went on. So going back to the He-Man woman haters, that became the issue, to where in this society that most of the men right now are He-Man woman haters. Not in the sense to where they can't stand, just don't want a woman. They can't stand their ways. Like the gold professor always say, he loved all the men. Well, he liked the men, but hate their ways. Same love and hate. Same thing with the women. He liked them, but hate their ways. And that poses with all the men in the gynocracy. The men that are in the gynocracy, they get the love because they're obedient. The guys who go against it don't get the love because they want to be hard-headed. They don't want to listen. And issues can only get greater to come to the realization, like I keep saying, about working together. If a woman wants to lead the family, she can be a single mom. Don't put that man on child support and stay single. She can lead them kids. But if you want to have a family and to have a real man in a relationship, you got to let that man lead the family. And if he doesn't know how to lead, you as a female, and you knowing how to lead, put him in position. I know a lady right now. She knows certain things, but her man doesn't have all the characteristics that, pretty much as a leader to her aspect, but she still deals with him. She says she sees the good in him. And that's rare with most cases. Women would only deal with that man for so long to get what she want out of him until the next man comes along. And it's very rare for most men to be in a position to where a woman holds him to a certain standard, to where she know he has what it takes and she's willing to work with him, compared to, like I said, most of the women are only there just because, the next man hasn't came along to fulfill this place. So in that aspect, that's another video to travel down. But, just wanted to make this video and talk about this. And it's actually going on to about 10 minutes. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. Try to make a lot of short videos to the point where it gravitate and gets your attention. So once again, we gone.